In regard to Berserk, I've seen the phrase, Judeau did everything right, being tossed around a lot, and I'd like to break down that statement and also explain some strange stuff about Judeau. Also, massive spoilers for Berserk. Enjoy. Before he joined Griffith and the Band of the Hawk, Judeau grew up as a circus performer, and it is hinted at that Judeau was in the same performance group as Puck. Being a jack-of-all-trades kind of guy, Judeau became an important member of the band. When Guts joined the Band of the Hawk, he felt alone and trapped, as he was forced into it, and Judeau was the first person who tried to make Guts feel welcome. Judeau helped Guts get acclimated with the culture of the band, established Griffith's strange nature, and made sure Guts knew he had a place in the band. This tells the reader that Judeau was emotionally and socially intelligent, and he used his intelligence to help others, as opposed to using it for selfish reasons. Before the first fight with Nosferatu Zod, Judeau predicted that Zod was the enemy the other soldiers were struggling to defeat. Rickert explained who Zod was to Pippin, and despite Corcus saying Zod was just a myth, Judeau still believed Zod was the one who was holding off the allied soldiers, saying Guts would have a tough battle with Zod. Although this sounded kinda strange at first, I thought it made a lot of sense that Judeau would believe this. Having previously been in the circus, Judeau would most likely be well traveled, and have a strong grasp of folk tales in various cultures. Similarly, he believed in the supernatural and fantastical due to his experiences, which is further supported by how Judeau had elf dust. Because of this, I believe it makes sense that Judeau would believe an ancient warrior could be the one holding off the allied soldiers. After the Band of the Hawk battled Zod, several mercenaries waited outside of the building where Griffith was recovering. While Griffith was preoccupied with kingdom officials, Casca berated Guts for trying to interrupt Griffith's meeting, and for getting Griffith injured in the first place. While all the other mercenaries just stood by, Judeau took action and informed Guts that he wasn't at fault, and Casca was just in shock. He establishes the importance of Griffith's relationship with the officials, and although this event ultimately ended in confrontation, Judeau still did the best possible thing in order to try to help both of his friends get along. Although Guts was a strong and imposing guy, he was still a human and emotionally vulnerable, and Judeau had the social awareness to see and understand this. He was the only member of the Band of the Hawk who looked out for Guts as a friend. I know someone will probably argue that Griffith maybe looked out for Guts as well, but I believe this was more because Guts was able to help Griffith achieve his dream. This is reinforced by how Griffith told Charlotte that he would never consider someone without a dream to be his friend. Judeau often looked out for his friends, especially Guts during their time with the nobles. Judeau would often explain the significance of noble traditions to Guts, and he worked to help his peers during the fox hunt, where Judeau explained the nature of the band tending the hunt. And this, coupled with Judeau's carefree attitude, helped ease the tension. Another thing that was expressed during the hunt was how Judeau was a jack of all trades. After Griffith got shot, Judeau was quick to take action and try to help his leader by inspecting the wound and helping Casca remove the crossbolt. Later on, when Guts and Casca fall off a cliff and into a river during battle, Judeau had faith in his friend's capabilities, that they would survive the fall. He also asked if someone had been sent to help the pair. Unfortunately, help did not arrive soon enough, and Guts and Casca were left on their own. Eventually, reinforcements did arrive, and we learned that Judeau was the one who convinced the generals to rescue Guts and Casca. This highlights both Judeau's compassion and his social intelligence. When Casca met up with Judeau's party, Judeau prioritized her safety and well-being. The party did not meet up with Guts in time to help him, but thankfully, Guts wiped out the enemy on his own. While the other soldiers were disturbed by Guts' capabilities, Judeau was excited and happy to see that his friend was alright. After this event, Judeau explained to Casca how Griffith felt about her and Guts, and he even gave her elf dust. I know this relates back to Judeau's feelings towards Casca, but I'd rather touch on that later. After this battle, Casca saw Guts preparing to leave the Band of the Hawk. She chased Guts, and Judeau, along with some other mercenaries, saw this and followed. After everyone calmed down, Judeau sat Guts down and asked him his reason for leaving. Guts explains to Judeau and Corcus how he felt content about being in the band, but longs to be Griffith's equal. Corcus expresses his own opinion, and after being shut down by Guts, left. After Corcus' departure, Judeau explains Corcus' backstory, stating that Corcus was the leader of a small group of bandits that had been bested by the Band of the Hawk. Judeau then explains his own story, telling Guts about his time as a performer, and how he was a jack of all trades, yet a master of none. Because he wasn't able to achieve greatness on his own, Judeau would rather help someone important to him achieve this greatness. Like the other mercenaries, Judeau most likely had a dream at one point, but gave up on it. Judeau explains to Guts that although his decision was unorthodox, he still respects it, and understands that unlike himself, Guts has the potential to achieve greatness. Judeau wished Guts well, and poignantly stated that perhaps Guts didn't have a place in the band after all. Judeau's understanding and willingness to accept Guts' decision really just speaks for itself. Guts then prepared to leave the Band of the Hawk, and Griffith challenged him to a duel. Guts defeated Griffith, and this was the first time that the band had really seen Griffith take a loss like this. While everyone else was shocked, Judeau was the only one who properly accepted Guts' decision, and the outcome of the duel. He knew Griffith was just a human, and not the messiah he presented himself as. After Guts' departure, Griffith was imprisoned and left the Band of the Hawk on their own. Casca became the leader, and led the remaining members to safety while she planned Griffith's rescue. After Guts returned to the band, Judeau informed him of their situation. Later on, the band decided to set out and rescue Griffith, and, like before, Judeau seems to know all sorts of information regarding the castle they were breaking into. One could assume that because Judeau was well traveled, he knew so much, and despite him not having the best opinion of Griffith, he still gave the band the necessary information to rescue him. Similarly, Judeau kind of pops off during this mission, since his knives were incredibly effective in this small space. After the rescue, Judeau and Guts literally and symbolically unmask Griffith, showing off his ugly personality. Even in his frail state, Griffith tries to choke out Guts, which spotlights how he blamed Guts for his downfall, and Judeau sees this firsthand. As we saw, Judeau is a pretty astute guy, which means that he was highly aware of his peers' intentions. Judeau most likely joined the Band of the Hawk due to Griffith's charisma and enchanting personality, but despite Judeau's success, they were never friends or personable with each other. When Guts asked Judeau what kind of person Griffith is, Judeau stated that he was unsure, telling Guts that he couldn't assess Griffith like he could his peers. Despite this, Judeau knew that although Griffith was a highly talented and ambitious guy, he was still a human, and had a darker side to him. This dark side showed itself in how Griffith treated Casca, where he used her as a mere pawn. As time progressed, he was able to recognize how awful of a person Griffith was, and he lost all respect for him, yet still helped Griffith until this eclipse incident, which shows that despite disliking Griffith, Judeau made the morally right choice in saving an old comrade. When it came to Casca, it is pretty obvious that Judeau had feelings for her. Although Casca was infatuated with Griffith, Judeau knew that Griffith cared more about his dream than her, and that they would never be a couple. Instead, Judeau, who wanted the best for Casca, pushed Guts to become closer with her. From the very beginning, Judeau knew that behind his off-putting exterior, Guts was a good guy, and because Judeau prioritized Casca's feelings over his own, he wanted her to have a happy ending with the right person, that person being Guts. Judeau looked out for Casca until the very end, and he even died, saving her during the eclipse incident. Finally, I believe that Judeau was the only member of the Band of the Hawk to truly befriend Guts during the Golden Age arc. He was able to see that Guts was a good person deep down inside, and that he was the right person to be with Casca. Judeau consistently reached out to Guts, trying to make him feel welcome and appreciated, not only as a leader, but as a friend. But yeah, that's Judeau. I think he made all the morally correct choices and acted selflessly to help those he loved. Judeau really did everything right, even though it cost him his life in the end. Thank you for watching. Later, gamers.